Everyone, welcome to another episode of Yearbook News. I am here with Layla. Layla, would you be able to introduce yourself just a little bit?
Sure. My name is Laila. I'm a teacher in secondary school in a Colegio Internacional de Carabobo here in Venezuela. Tech teacher, coding teacher, design teacher, name it. It's all tech related. So I teach students from 8th grade and up. Okay, so
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much. And so now everyone knows that your school's in Venezuela. Would you be able to tell us a little bit more about your school?
okay, so this is an international school. Okay, it's been around since 1955. I've been with the school for the past 6 years now. Basically in secondary. Okay, like I said, teaching middle school and high school students. For middle school, it's usually coding, subject, design, a little bit of design, and programming. And for high school students, basically content creation and yearbook related, subjects in that area. The school is, love it. It has a lot of international students, from many nationalities, a broad range of teachers also from like the US, from Philippines, from India, from Venezuela also. So yeah.
That's awesome. It sounds like a melting pot, that you get to have so many different students and so many different teachers coming together. That's awesome. I'm sure that makes your yearbook just so unique too, because you were clashing with so many different cultures and trying to kind of
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Many, yes, that we have students here. Many of them don't even speak English. Some of them don't even speak any English or Spanish. So yes, that we do have to sometimes get creative, teachers with the classes and all that. And especially for a yearbook, hey, that actually inspires the school to create events that are related. Hey, we did this school year, like for example, Chinese New Year, we did Ramadan. So they speak to the students about that. So that's like, we enjoy that. It's the creative part, that element that we add for the yearbook, and like, hey, we love it. It's like,
that's awesome.
Everybody's included. So beautiful.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you have to be very particular in making sure you can create like that inclusivity, within that melting pot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's awesome. And so what kind of led you to take on this role of becoming a yearbook advisor?
Okay, it's a long story.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I've always been passionate about creating, designing, like anything, even if it's like just digital work, or like I have to do it like painting and all that. I've always been passionate about that. So I did study graphic design, and that kind of, I don't remember how I got here. They called me or whatever, but when I started working here, it was like just the gist. They told me, hey, you're gonna be just with yearbook, and then later on, they started incorporating like coding classes and all that. But yeah, to sum it all up, I'm passionate about designing. I think you mentioned that in the email when you requested for the pasta. Like you can see, I just love it. I love it when the designs, when the ideas the students have, they come to life in the yearbook. So yeah, that's basically why I'm here. What drew me to designing.
That's amazing. And I know that just makes such a difference with your students too, to be able to have, someone that is leading them that has such a passion for that creativity and just being able to kind of, maybe some students don't have like certain strengths or weaknesses or whatever it may be, and you get to overlook that and be like, you have that passion and that drive to be able to create something so unique and beautiful, And how long have you been with the yearbook production now?
With the yearbook now, 6 years. Yeah, since the first year, that this would be my sixth. Well, COVID year, that year, school year 2020, 2021, we didn't produce any yearbook due to the reason like students were not on campus. We were online basically the whole school year, but 5 yearbooks so far.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Yeah. That's great. I'm sure there's always like just so many different, like within every year, there's something that stands out probably. What would you say is like the most rewarding part about yearbook advising? If you could kind of sum it up, I'm sure there's multiple things, but
I just love obviously receiving the yearbook, but I show the yearbook to just the yearbook staff before, because like I said prior to the meeting, that we usually reveal the theme, the yearbook, everything the last day of school to the whole school. And
Mm-hmm.
I do show that to my students like 2-3 weeks before that last day, because that's when we receive the yearbooks. And I just give it to them, and I just wait for their expressions, the faces they're gonna put, and it's always so rewarding. Like, I love seeing how, like, they visualize, hey, my idea is actually what I designed. I can see it right now on paper. So I just love that feeling, that how the
Yeah.
excitement and everything. It's just, no words can describe that.
Yeah, I bet. I know I've talked to different advisors, and it's just like seeing the students' faces and seeing them like realize like, oh my goodness, all this hard work we put in throughout
Yeah,
this entire school year. Here
yeah.
it is. And now we get to finally share it with the entire student body, you know.
Exactly. And then saying like, hey, oh, I did this. Oh, I edited this. Oh, I created, it's amazing. It's amazing. They don't
Yeah.
see it throughout the school year, and they don't understand maybe the pressure, how you have to work fast, you have to comply with the due dates. But when they see that final product, it's like it settles in for them. It's like,
Mm.
okay, now we get it. Now we're like, so it's
It
amazing.
clicks for them.
Yeah,
Yeah, it clicks.
exactly. Yeah.
And I'm sure it's so fun, like when they get to share it with like their friends that weren't part of yearbook, and they're like, "We made this!" Like, you know,
I've
like.
seen them, yes, when they go around like signing each other's yearbooks, or like, oh, I did this. Oh, this is whatever. Yes,
Mhm.
they love it. They love it. It's amazing. Really, that is the highlight of me being the yearbook like advisor. That would be the highlight of the whole school year.
That's awesome, and I'm sure you're looking forward to it coming up pretty soon, you know, being able to share.
But I
Uh,
actually got Sarah's email today. She was like, "Oh, we're ready to ship them," and I just got like so excited. I'm like, it's getting closer. So
I
yeah.
know, I know. I'm so excited for you guys to get your hands on them. It's great, but I know we can't share any details, but they're very beautiful. So, and so we kind of already talked about like the fact that obviously as an international school, it is like a huge melting pot. Is there anything else that you would say is kind of like unique about, you know, creating a yearbook as an international school?
Oh, interesting. I mean, I'm not too generalized or anything, but I did notice, like, I've seen a lot of yearbooks from other schools, and everybody obviously has their own like ideas, their own
Mhm,
designs, their uniqueness to it, right? But I've noticed that like our school is
mhm,
always like with the attention to details, with the designs they come up with. Again, possibly because I also love those kind of details, and I usually like instill that upon the students from the beginning of the school year. I've noticed
mhm,
that those little like designs and graphics, whatever ideas, I've seen them more like alive in our yearbooks than other schools. Okay. I would
mhm,
like to mention also like the schools in Venezuela don't usually have yearbooks. I
mhm,
do know there are a couple of other international schools that they do make one, but it's like not as elaborated as the one that we do, that includes
mhm,
events and all that. It's like, it's more of like, oh, just the students, the teachers that assisted and all that. So
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think obviously with your creative background and everything, that obviously has to have like some influence in just all the unique features that you incorporate into like your publications. And I'm sure, you know, would you say that it's also kind of just trying to make it stand out for such a unique student body as well, you know, like,
Yes.
yeah.
I even have students when they join yearbook. I usually, when they choose an elective, they have like a week, the beginning of the school year. If you change your mind, you don't like it, you feel like, hey, this is not you, you can switch to another subject. And
Hmm.
usually the first week, those that are new in the subject are like all freaked out and like, should I maybe switch? I don't know if I'm good at this. And I always tell them it's okay if you don't know how to draw, if it's okay if you don't know how to edit. I'm going to teach you to use the tools,
Mm.
and I'll show you platforms and many tools that you guys can use that can help cultivate that. And that's basically, I feel, has kept students, and like they're like scared, but okay, I'm not just jumping the boat just yet. I'll see what I
Mm.
can do, and they start trusting that. So
Yeah,
tricky at the
that's
beginning, but they get the hang of it. Yes.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I'm sure it honestly probably makes a difference too, like going forward for them, because now they've developed different skills that they probably never thought they'd develop. And now they're maybe have like a more creative mindset than they did before. They understand like how to create a publication and things like that, you know?
Totally. Totally. Absolutely. I've had students right now, they're in college and they contact me and they're like, hey, miss, I'm using these tools that you taught me, Adobe, I'm designing whatever, I'm using Instagram, all the tools that are, so I'm glad, maybe not all of them, but hey, at least some of them, they're using that, like they kept the knowledge and they're using it later on. So that's very rewarding.
That's awesome. It's like you kind of get to come to a realization that you're doing something that obviously is for the yearbook, but it's also surpassing it. You know, you're instilling those lessons in your students for
Absolutely. Absolutely.
years to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And so kind of switching gears a little bit, how did you hear about United Yearbook?
Researching. So yes, that's basically what I did. I did contact a lot of like printing houses in the US, and yours was one of like caught my attention. We got to talking, and that's why we decided to go with United Yearbooks. Yeah.
Yeah. Was there anything specific that caught your attention about United Yearbook when you were doing your research?
I did see the samples that you guys had on the site, like, and the different upgrades that you do with yearbooks. That was something I didn't notice on other ones. The prices were very great. The attention and the timing that you replied to the emails, like, still surprises me. I don't think any company we've ever spoken with in the US has been that fast. So I love that. Like, I need someone to be like, hey, Laila, like, you know, to keep me calm and everything, because yearbook, as you know, is a very stressing, like the whole, it's a lot of responsibility. So that can calm me. And
yeah, you don't want to throw a question out there and then not have it
like
answered. You're
a week later and then nobody. Yes, that was,
yeah.
it did happen one time, and I was like, that's something I have to be careful with. So, and it's been that way, like, since we started speaking with United Yearbooks, it's been that way. They're very, like, as soon as they get the email, less than 24 hours, like even within 30 minutes, you know, 1 hour at latest, I get a reply. So I love that part. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that you feel supported. Yeah, I'm glad because I know I've talked to like different advisors. It's interesting how, you know, obviously every advisor has like different needs and different personalities. And there's some advisors that literally is like, I will talk to you at the deadline and like I don't want to talk like any time else. And there's some advisors that are like, I need like to keep communicating, you know, and so it is important to understand, you know, for example, you need like that response. So it's important to understand that, you know, and make sure that you feel comfortable throughout the year as you're building such an important like publication, you know.
Exactly. And to advisors out there, they're like, oh, like I like to change and switch yearbook upgrades every single school year. United Yearbooks knows that. And I'm like, I want to try something new every time. Like, I love that part also. Like, they're always, hey, you can do this. They show you samples. Like, that communication part for me is so essential.
Yeah, and it is really fun to just see kind of the way that your brain works with your students and the fun upgrades that you're just like able to incorporate, you know. But it's like it's really incredible and it's really fun to be able to be part of like that innovative aspect of the yearbooks that you produce, you know. Yeah. And so what kind of led you to pick a US publisher versus maybe like a local or regional one? I know you're saying there's not really a lot of publications within Venezuela. So, you know, I'm assuming it was US based primarily anyway.
Okay. So I did mention before that Venezuelan schools don't do yearbooks. So that could be the reason. There are printing houses here, but not, let's say, with the quality and like the sophistication that and the color, you know, space that printing houses in the US have. Okay. I'm guessing because they do printing, like they're in colored books and yearbooks and all that in magazines, you know. The colors are a lot better, the quality is a lot better, they have a variety, like I said, of upgrades and all that. Here they do not. We did try it out here once in Venezuela. We did like a supplement, a yearbook supplement that, like, after we send out the yearbook, there are many events that occurred that last quarter. So we put that in a little booklet, you know, and we print that out here. We tried it like 2-3 years ago. The printing was very bad. The images were very dark. Okay. The quality of the pages and it was very expensive as well. Like, for the quality and the outcome, we were not happy with it. So that's the main reason we work with US companies.
Okay, that's interesting to know. I'm sure, like, you know, people might be wondering, and it's like interesting to hear your perspective, and obviously you being there and having that firsthand experience, you know. And I feel like we kind of already touched on it a little bit about like the communication aspect, but how have you felt with, obviously there's like a bit of a time difference, nothing too bad, honestly, but do you feel like there's ever been any like issues, communicating across time zones or anything like that?
Oh, absolutely not. Never.
Mhm.
Like I said, I've always been communicating with Sarah, sometimes you, but Sarah is like my primary contact there with United Yearbooks. She's very, I'm guessing it's, I don't know how many hours it is from between Venezuela and California. I've never, but I'm guessing it is quite a few hours, but she's usually very fast. Like I said, I've so far no complaints about the timing response on her part. So like I'm happy with that. Yes. Hope that continues.
Yeah, yeah. And would you say there are like some unexpected benefits about, working with the US publisher?
I mean, other than the ones that I mentioned regarding the quality, I mean, even the attention, okay, the email, customer service, and I mean, again, I haven't seen that in a local publishing house, okay? Again, like I said, maybe because they don't do yearbooks here, I don't want to like, uh, yeah, but maybe because of that, so many elements here, but they don't provide those
Mhm.
services, those upgrades, those kind of printing. So United Yearbook so far has been like, no kidding, the best attention to customer I've had. Even the quality check we did used to work with a previous another printing house before United Yearbooks. They did not do any quality check. We actually had to do that after the yearbooks got to Venezuela, so
Mm.
that's a plus on my part.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And then I want to kind of switch gears a little bit again and kind of focus on like you and your students a little bit more. You were mentioning earlier about how, sometimes students kind of are hesitant a little bit going into the yearbook class and you're like, I'll teach you, like I'll be there for you. Is there any kind of like interview or selection process when it comes to like bringing in students, or is it, you said that there was like an elective, like they're able to like try out the electives for a week, is that
Yes.
correct?
So to explain it very briefly, usually 1 or 2 weeks before the school year begins, they have like maybe 5 to 10 elective options that they can do that. Okay. Between art classes, technology, music, okay, French, Chinese, whatever. So obviously they have to choose at least 1 or 2, okay, tech courses from ninth grade until they graduate.
Mhm.
Usually students that are hesitant, they just, hey, I want to check it out. They're even confused at the beginning because my class is not called yearbook, it's actually called publications technology. And they
Oh,
when
okay.
they select that elective, they're like, we don't even know what this is about, but hey, talk to us, whatever. And then yeah, students, I would say like maybe more than 50% of the students are like, okay, we don't know what this is about, are you going to teach us the Adobe program? Or like, what if I don't have any ideas? That's their main, question, everything that they like pops to their head. But yeah, I
Uh-huh.
do calm them down, telling them, hey, like, I'm going to teach you the tools. I'm going to show you the platforms. I'm going to show you ways to get the results that you need. And yeah, I mean, I just love how after they're taught all that, they're like kind of, okay, you know what? There's a student that maybe uses drawing, like she goes with that. She likes to do that. She scans, then she works on her artwork. Okay. Then there's a student that only does digital work, right? They're good with that. They're doing the drawing pad and all that. But there are students that are like, I'm not good at anything, so I have to do my research and get ideas. Like they
Uh-huh.
have options. Okay. You're good, you
Mhm.
have options. You're not good at drawing, you're not creative, you have options as well. And I just love like seeing the outcome, and even seeing them like, you know what I did was not too bad. I have a creative side. I can come up with something. So that
Mm.
part is also very satisfying to see.
Mm. That's awesome. I like how that kind of goes into kind of like the strengths and weaknesses of certain students, and you kind of play on those strengths and also maybe grow them through their weaknesses as well, and being like, actually, maybe you do have more creativity than you think, or whatever it may be. And so I feel like with that, there's obviously a lot of creativity, like we've talked about within your publications themselves. How would you say you get like the students to be able to get into that mindset of having like that creativity and being able to kind of all agree as well in on like how on what direction they want the publication to go to.
Okay, so agreeing on the publications is one thing.
Yeah, I'm sure.
One school year we did hit like not road bumps, but it was like, oh, but I don't like what that student is doing. Oh, but I didn't like this color that they chose, whatever. They usually design, like I usually assign sections. Hey, you're going to do the senior pages. You're going to do this event. You're going to do this class. Okay. They have a theme for set pages, right? And then I obviously ensemble everything. I put everything together and then I review their work and check through everything. Obviously, throughout the school year, at least the first 2 quarters, they don't have the whole vision, like the full vision of, hey, how the yearbook is going to look like. How is it going to, end up like. So when I do that, I usually from time to time show them, hey, look at this page and then what this student did and what student B then following page after that. And they're going to be like, you know what? I actually like there's a sequence here. There's a synchronicity in the design. And they start to like sit into that. And they're like, okay, we believe in this. We know we're like doing the right work. But at the beginning, they're very hesitant. Yes. I mean, I'm guessing it's totally normal. It's happened since the first school year. I've given yearbook, and it's always been the case. Or like, I don't know, but student A's design is a lot different than mine. They have a different design style and all that. But when we put it together, it always like it's rewarding to see how all the ideas complement each other, and they complement the theme that we choose. So yeah.
That's awesome. I love how you see that growth too every year, kind of seeing that hesitance kind of wash away as they become more comfortable,
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean that's awesome to be able to kind of witness. I'm sure that's a perk of being able to be there for your students every year. And so what software, I know you've mentioned Adobe a few times, so I'm assuming you use Adobe for your yearbook spreads and cover cases. And why did you choose to kind of do that? Is it just something you're more comfortable with?
Adobe. I mean, I've been familiar with Adobe since forever. And when I arrived to the school, they told me they had the Adobe licenses. So that's what we've been using it. So far, hey, love it. I would not use, I don't know of any, like I know some of them that you have to pay and use online and all that, but I really prefer like for the quality work that we like usually submit at the end, I would prefer Adobe. Okay. We use Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign, those 3 tools. Yeah.
Awesome. And it is great for your students to be able to get their hands on those programs and become familiarized with them, because it is, a lot of places use them, and there is kind of a bit of a learning curve with those programs. So for them to get their hands on it and kind of understand how to use it makes a huge difference, I'm sure. And like you said, some of your students in college are saying we're using those tools, so that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then so we've kind of already talked a little bit about just like some of the really unique features that you incorporate within your publications, and you have very like eye-catching graphic elements. Obviously you don't have to go into anything from this publication, but how did you and your students go about creating them and then placing them into the spreads that it makes them so appealing? They really truly are eye-catching.
Okay, so I mean, it always depends on the theme. Last school year's theme was like doodle dreamscape. So every design that were like got into the pages, they had to create doodles out of everything. Okay, so they usually come up with like an idea or like a theme or something specific for like sections. So senior pages have certain design, the events have a certain design, organizations and all that. Okay, we have like 10 sections, okay, in the yearbook. So once they decide on that, they start creating, like I said, so many tools. Okay, it depends on the student and their creativity and their like how comfortable they are, hey, designing from scratch or not, they go about it. Okay, like I have students, I actually taught them, hey, you can actually use Illustrator, go into this image, any elements that you might like, take it into Illustrator. Whatever you like it there, you have to either trace it, you go over with the pen tool, you do an image trace, whatever you're comfortable with, change the colors, change the form of that, like how it looks, whatever, and then join it with other elements. Okay, I've even shown them sites where like you can go into and like, oh, they inspire you. Okay, so Like we had the scrapbook theme. I think that was 2 years ago. That was the most yearbook like that gave us a lot of work. Like that one had me like so concerned because I was scared we would not meet the deadline. Okay,
Mhm.
so we actually used old magazines from the library. They were throwing away like magazines and all these books that were very old, and I was like, hey, can I take those? They were like, okay. And then we started ripping those pages. Okay, and then we
Oh
had
my
to
goodness.
scan those pages and like clean them out and everything. And if I show you the yearbook, it's literally all ripped pages and elements. And but like
Wow.
if you see the sports pages, they have like there's a magazine that had a question like, hey, what do you play? Like it all fit in just
Mm.
perfectly. It beautiful. We even got like flowers from around our, because we do live practically on a hill here, and we're all
Mhm.
surrounded by like green and trees and flowers and all that. So we got elements from our school, flowers and leaves and all that, and
Oh,
we also
wow.
incorporated that onto like the cover and the yearbook. So yes, it was very, very a lot of work, but it was
Wow.
worth it. Yeah, like I said, it depends on the theme. The theme inspires, hey Kate, what steps do we want to take? How are we going to go about this?
Yeah. Wow. Well, that sounds incredible.
Yeah,
That's such a like a love letter to your school, truly, to take up that much time and
yeah.
effort and wow. And it's such
We
a like
usually
I
try to do that. Like we always try to include something that's about the school, something that represents the school, something that students feel identified with. We always include
Mhm.
that in the yearbook. We did that also in this school's yearbook edition. Okay, like if you see the
Mhm.
cover, it has elements, even the end sheets, and it has elements that are only like
Mhm.
for our school. Yeah.
Mm. That's amazing. It's truly it's just so unique too. You know what I mean? And I love how unique and personalized it is to your school. You know, it's like we couldn't take that publication and like give it to another school because it wouldn't work for them. You know, it's like completely
Exactly.
it's
Exactly. It's
so
unique.
unique.
Yeah. It's
Yeah. Yeah. And so I feel like with, you know, your publications, the theme kind of drives, you know, everything that goes in the content and everything like that. How would you say that you guys are able to really keep that consistency? Is it just really keeping like, does this fit into the theme, like, you know, at the forefront of everyone's mind, or is there any other like further process that you guys go through?
I mean, we usually for the theme, it is we take like about 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, the
Mhm.
students do a lot of research. I do give them like a preview. Hey,
Mhm.
the reason we choose a theme is because we want some inspiration for the pages. And I always tell them, hey,
Mhm.
we don't want something like, I always give them the example, hey, the theme, it's the color blue. That's gonna
Mhm.
be all like what's gonna inspire your pages if just the theme is blue. You have to look for a theme that you can branch ideas out of, and they're like,
Mhm.
okay. And then that's where the research begins. Like I divide them into groups of 3 or 4, 5 students, and they do the research, get ideas. They actually do a presentation, and they actually present or defend the research that they did, where they, hey, this
Mhm.
is what we want on the pages. This is what's going to go on the sections. This is the font that we want to go for. This is what's going to go on the cover. So it is like we end up with like 5 or 6, 7 different ideas for themes. This happens, by the way, the first month of the school year, and we vote on that, which, by
Oh,
the
wow.
way, we never agree on. They're always like fighting. No, we want the other theme, whatever. But yes, it's rewarding at the end seeing, like, again, when we end up with one theme, a lot of students would not be happy and would be like, oh, we don't see that. But I mean,
Mhm.
seeing their faces, like I told you at the beginning, when they see the end result, when they see the yearbook, when they see the work that the others are doing, it's like it finally like sets in for them, and they're like,
Mhm.
okay, we're going through the right path with this. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I love that the fact that you were saying like they don't agree because I'm sure a lot of your book advisors also feel that struggle as well
absolutely,
that, you know, everyone has different ideas and, you know,
yeah,
everyone wants their idea to win. But I love that you have like that specific activity that you do with your students so early on and that, you know, you kind of have them defend, you know, why their theme should be what the yearbook becomes, you know, because that takes it a step further. They really have to kind of think it through and see like, is this something we can really create a whole publication about, you
absolutely.
know?
Yes, that's the main reason we do that. research and that presentation for them. Like, if you believe your idea, hey, sell it to everyone then. Let's make that work. Yes.
Yeah, and that's also another skill I'm sure they take on, like being able to pitch their idea and like hold it up against like an entire class. That's also something they can take on, you
Absolutely.
know? Yeah. Yeah. And did you use a style guide do you use one for your publications?
I'm sorry, style guide?
Yeah, like something that has like, specific like fonts, colors, anything like that that students will kind of follow and see kind of like as a
Oh, okay.
checklist for the
So we
publication.
do usually in the presentation when they defend
Mm-hmm.
their themes, they do
Mm-hmm.
present, a color scheme and fonts and all
Mm-hmm.
that. We don't usually abide to it until for the production of the yearbook, because sometimes like throughout the production a lot of like the ideas flow and like things start coming to them and they just like, you know what, I want to go with a different color this time, or want to go with a different design this time. So we do have them, but we don't abide like to it. Like it can change, and it has actually throughout the 5 yearbooks we've had, it always changes. So
Yeah. I love that you kind of just let the creativity flow and kind of understand that it will be changed and kind of flow, but depending on how the year goes as well,
I've noticed they like enjoy the designing process a lot better when I let them, hey, I even like encourage them. It's okay, like if it turns out bad, you can always just delete it and start over, and that kind of calms them, and they're like, you know what, it's okay if I screw up, it's okay if it doesn't turn out right, I can fix it or I can start over. And that gives them, that peace of mind. Okay, I'm not and that like it gives them even like it boosts their like trust and like confidence in themselves to design something even better. So I always encourage them, you know what, I trust you. And I always tell them, the idea is not for me to design the pages, for me to create the layouts, because I already know how to design, I already know how to do a yearbook. I want you, and I tell them how beautiful it is when you get the yearbook and you're telling me, the teachers and other students, I did this page from scratch. I designed, I edited this. So I sell them that idea, and that's what I always preach to them. And
yeah, they're creating something they can be proud of,
exactly.
Yeah. That's awesome. And what would you say, has there ever been a situation where there's like a really difficult design challenge that you've experienced, and how would you say you kind of overcame that?
Okay, so I'm guessing possibly yes. I don't remember right now. I do remember the yearbook that really like almost maybe, you know what, I just don't want to do this anymore, was the scrapbook theme, because that was a lot of work. But like we always find a way. I'm guessing other advisors also might think the same. We find a way, because if the student, hey, I don't feel comfortable maybe creating this design because I'm not good at it, or hey, I don't even know how to go about it, I always recommend, you know what, you have a plan A, have a plan B, plan C, whatever. So if plan A, try it out, it doesn't work, we'll try designing something else, and then we go from there. Okay. I always give them that like space to feel free. Hey, you can mess up. If it doesn't work, have another option. Okay. So that's what I basically go with them.
That's awesome. It's important for them to kind of have like different things set up just in case. And obviously, because there always will be a yearbook at the end of the year, no matter any of those like complications that you go through. It's just being able to problem solve and, work around whatever situation, even putting in a lot of labor and love into doing a scrapbook yearbook, you guys just kind of had to push through.
Absolutely. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. And so getting close to just my last few questions for you, how would you say that working with the United Yearbook has kind of influenced or enhanced your creative process?
I mean, I said it from the beginning, love the upgrades that United Yearbook has. I have not seen those upgrades with other printing houses. I have seen a few that you offer. For example, you have the sequin cover thing. You have the heat one also, where you apply heat and then the image starts to shows up, like a lot of ideas. I even saw one that you guys did. It was like a surfboard, and you mentioned in one of the comments that was an idea that the school came up with, and they proposed it to you, and then you went about it to give them that like outcome. So I love that. I even thought about it. Hey, if tomorrow I have an idea that they don't do that, they don't produce that, they don't make that, I can like poach it to like preach it to you and like talk to you about it, and I'm sure you'll come up with something creative to represent that idea that I have. So that's what caught my attention about, United Yearbooks.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that, and we're glad, obviously, that we can kind of help push your creativity and not kind of like confine you to make something, that's not individualized to your school, because it is truly, like we've been talking about, truly individualized, truly unique, truly like just out of the box, something that you just don't ever see with your book
Exactly.
publication, which is so fun. I always love seeing it.
And
It's
our
just
school
so
loves that. Like the more different it is, the more unique and like, ooh, they've never seen that before. The more they're like, they like it. They like
yeah.
this school year, the sticker sheet, for example. We have never done that, and I'm sure the kids, the students, even their minds are gonna flip when they see that. They're gonna love it.
It's just so cool, and I'm sure probably that just draws so much excitement, like, for the student body. Like you're saying, you don't give out the theme or anything, so it's like they're probably just anticipating, like, what did they create this year? Like, what kind of fun thing are we going
They're
to be
always
able to get
asking me in the hallways and like, "Please tell me, no, like just a little, show me whatever." Sometimes they even try to sneak into my classroom and they're like wandering in. Oh, I would just want to speak to a student real quick. I'm like, no, leave,
So
leave. But
funny.
they're always, yes, that always happens. Yeah.
That's so funny. I love how, like, integral the yearbook is to your school because, sometimes schools, it's harder for them to get the yearbook out there to their student body, but I love how important it is for your students and how much they love it.
It's amazing. I love it. I love that they enjoy it, that they see, maybe not all students open a yearbook and they're like, "Oh, look at this design." But I know at least the high school students, they do pay more attention to that. The parents do, the faculty. So the little ones are just like, they want to see their photo in there. But when they see that come to life, at least the high school students, they're always asking me, "Hey, how can I, go into yearbook? Like, how did you do this? Whatever." So that part also is like very gratifying, very rewarding when they see. So I'm like, okay, at least they're curious, at least they're
Yeah.
interested. So that's very nice to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. I love that so much. And my last question for you is, what advice would you give to kind of fellow international schools that are seeking support from a US-based publisher or even one that is offshore?
I mean, I would just say, just go for it. I mean, like I said, in Venezuela, there are not very good printing houses here, okay? Or
Hmm.
not that I've found, but
Hmm.
this would be like the second year with United Yearbooks, okay? Our school, but we have worked with printing houses in the US, and just the quality of the work, of the outcome of the yearbook, the pages, the color, I mean, and even the customer service, like I said, quality check and all that adds to like really like how the whole thing, the progress of thing turns out. And I do encourage schools to, reach out to do like United Yearbooks. I Since the beginning, okay, even after the first yearbook that we got last school year, I was like, hands down, yes, super recommend, because like I said, the product, the attention, the quality, I mean, everything 100%, okay, super, like beautiful, gorgeous, just go for it, okay? So if I'm in Venezuela and using a US printing house, they should too.
Yeah, right. I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with me today and just kind of go over your journey. And I'm sure, the hope is that this will help other advisors as well as even, international advisors out there that may have, somewhat of a similar story to yours, or, every school, every advisor is so unique. So just being able to hear from your perspective and hear about your journey is just really appreciated.
absolutely, Jessica. Thank you for giving me the time to tell you about the whole process and everything. Thank you.
Yes, I love it. And I'm so excited for you guys to get your hands on this year's publication. It's coming up soon.
Me
So,
too, yes. So excited.
yes, yes. Okay, well, if anyone has any comments or questions, you can leave them down below. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your day.